that patrol.
From the Joe Mauer Fieldhouse on the campus of Cretin-Derham Hall, SCC presents high school boys basketball. Tonight, a key 4A matchup as the North St. Paul Polars pay a visit to the Cretin-Derham Hall Raiders. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Peden, joined by Stephanie Blanda. If Stephanie looks familiar, you might have seen her a few times on SCC's broadcast as the coach of the North St. Paul volleyball team. But Stephanie, you know a thing or two about this Polars basketball team as well.
You know, I see the guys at our games. I see them in the gym. Talk to Damien a little bit. And I know that they've been a lot of open gyms early in the morning and that he is just working hard to turn this program around into something really big.
It's his second season, and he is trying to turn it around. A big rebuilding phase after losing a lot of seniors to graduation, and a tough start to their season schedule. East Ridge last week, Cretin-Derham Hall tonight, and De La Salle on Friday. But Damian Johnson told me doing that will tell his team what they need to do in order to grow.
Yeah, I think playing those tough games is really important to have those on your schedule. You see what's out there, you see how far you need to push yourself, and we'd take those games any day over an easy opponent.
Cretin-Derham Hall also rebuilding after several members of their state championship team graduated, including Daniel Oturu, who's now with the Gophers, but they picked up a big boost in Trey Holloman. He already has 3 Division I offers as a freshman: Minnesota, Baylor, and Texas.
That's huge, and just knowing that it's Richard Pitino's first freshman offer, I mean, it speaks volumes about Trey.
And also keep an eye out for Jaden King, the Western Illinois commit. In fact, the Raiders have 4 players on their roster in double digits for scoring, and as you know, balance goes a long way.
That's a spread of talent, and you can't just pick on one person to shut down. You have to be watching everybody.
And we'll be watching everybody when we return. This is high school boys basketball.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look! Welcome back to the Joe Mauer Fieldhouse on the campus of Cretin-Derham Hall. They're introducing the starters. We'll do the same. For North St. Paul, the visitors, they'll start number 1, DeJuan Carter. Number 3, Brendan Langford Johnson. Number 4, McKeel Twyman. Number 30, Shahid Mohammed. And number 32, Ben Teaglin. Cretin-Derham Hall, they start 1 through 5, literally. Amari Carter, Jaden King, Curtis Jones, Karsten Broadley, and Trey Holloman. That's numerical order in case you didn't pick that up. The Joe Mauer Fieldhouse, named after a guy. I don't think I've heard too much about him. Do you know who he is?
If my memory serves me correctly, I do believe he was a baseball player.
I think.
Sound right?
Yeah, I think he had a few years. Twins. He was a 3-sport athlete here at Cretin-Derham Hall. Had an offer to play college football. And who knows if he had chosen football, what might have happened. Yeah. But Cretin-Derham Hall basketball is one of their strong sports. It has been for years. It was punctuated by that thrilling state tournament championship with Apple Valley. Came down to the final play. Daniel Oturu's dunk made the top 10 list on SportsCenter that night, and he's off to a fine start in the maroon and gold of Minnesota.
Wow. Well, I guess they're looking to see what they're going to do this year, right? Rebuild.
Well, that rebuilding phase certainly got a big boost when Trey Holloman transferred from North to Cretin.
Yeah, he first freshman to be recruited by Richard Pitino to the University of Minnesota.
He came over along with his mother, who took over the head coaching job for the girls team.
Okay, fun facts. That's good trivia.
Oh, I've got plenty more, as you are aware of.
That's sports brand.
Yes. That used to be my moniker before I just went to my name. North St. Paul wearing the white, Cretin-Derham Hall wearing the purple, and again, two teams in a rebuilding phase. North St. Paul graduated a lot of seniors. So Damian Johnson talked to me about a lot of reteaching, a lot of guys on this team that didn't necessarily play together on varsity. Cretin-Derham Hall with a strip, Broadly in transition, and he is stripped by North St. Paul. It's a clean one. Catch release 3 is short. Holloman with the O-board. Trey Holloman was 3 assists shy of a triple-double in the season opener. And trying to draw contact was Amari Carter, could not do so. North St. Paul in the middle of a grueling stretch of games. Eastridge on Wednesday. Last Wednesday, they have Cretin-Derham Hall tonight, De La Salle on Friday. We may bring you that game on SCC, and we'll bring you that lay-in off Amari Carter. I should say DeJuan Carter. There are 2 Carters that both wear 1. What's in the name? 3 ball. Corner pocket. Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones, one of 4 double-digit scores on the Raiders. Cretin-Derham Hall brings a lot of balance. They have over the years. That's why they're on the short list of contenders. And North St. Paul says, right back at you. DeJuan Carter has all 5 of North St. Paul's points. Here we go. This is going to turn into a shootout. And that's going to be a foul. Side out. Karsten Broadley with the O-board. But take a look at this, Stephanie. Coming into this game, Amari Carter, 12.7 a game. Curtis Jones, 14.7. Trey Holloman, 11.7. Jaden King, 15 a game. Big numbers, but as those numbers will illustrate, makes it tough to stop one person on this Cretin team. And even though they'll have to move on with Daniel Oturu in college, that says a lot about how much this team promotes balance. Curtis Jones spreading his range. He has 2 triples, and the Raiders lead the Polars 6-5. Mohammed, he's averaging 26 per game in his first 2 this season, and we'll see if he can keep that pace going. He's on the board with that runner. Here's Trey Holloman. The man we've all been talking about. They'll give him the motion. Trey Holloman could first touch rim as a 6th grader. I don't have the exact measurement, but I'm sure his mother would tell me. His mother and I are good friends, but she knows, as everyone else does, I'm not going to let that influence my evaluation. You know, you know how I am. I praise people when they do something well. If they do something silly, I'll ask them what were they thinking, because I ask that of myself all the time. Trey. Well, his older brother, equally as tall, Marquise Holloman, playing at North Dakota State College of Science. He got a state championship with Minneapolis North, and he was a pretty solid player in his own right. Traveling violation on DeJuan Carter. Raiders are up 9-7. There are a lot of calls you're not used to if you watch the NBA. Speaking of, you may have noticed this in our last broadcast. Stephanie was with me at a Stillwater girls game. The restricted zone is now in play at the high school level. That semicircle. Another deep 3. Curtis Jones is firing away. Mohammed, little stutter step. Here's Twyman. Polars swing it around. Nice move. And Mikael Twyman with the finish. I know your passing is a little different with North St. Paul volleyball, but I think you would appreciate the ball movement on that last play. Well, in your sport, there's a limit. You can only touch it 3 times. So you can't move it around like that, and a traveling violation on Jaden King. Oh, I'm sure there's good ball movement. Well, you've won every conference game in the Metro East for 3 years. 3.5, so I'd say you've got pretty good ball movement at North St. Paul. It helps that you have some fine athletes as DeJuan Carter scores. It helps to have folks like Lauren Stedman and Selena Rodriguez this past year, Isa Franco. You know, they're not pushovers. Yes, I do. I would not want to take them on one-on-one. I would get destroyed. That too. Maybe the beach variant. It's 2-on-2. How about a 3 from Jaden King?
3-point basket, Jaden King.
Mohammed, bullseye. Apparently the game plan is just shoot 3s all night. Steph Curry's won, 3 NBA titles now that everyone wants to be like him? If only you were a high school player in this era, you might have had that chance. But that's all right. Right. In fact, NASA has offered him a lunar space tour. Well, you know what that's done now? Everyone's going to claim that something doesn't exist so that they can get a tour. Well, Jay Billis was saying, hey, he believes Jennifer Lawrence isn't real, so he's hoping to get an invite. I'm not sure Steph Curry is real either. And while we're at it, I don't think Maya Moore is real either. I think she's a robot. You and I are having way too much fun with this. 3-ball, corner pocket.
3-point basket, Jaden King from Broadway.
15-14, 5 triples, 4 triples for the Raiders, 2 for the Polars, 6 overall. This is ridiculous. 17-15, Carter with the 3. King says, I'm not done, but his 3-pointer's short. I guess they are human after all. Your observation serves you well. Side out for Cretin-Derham Hall. You were that scrappy though when you played, right? You were always getting after those balls. 3 on the way. Not quite from Curtis Jones. O-board and a foul. And they will give Amari Carter the shooting motion. And Cretin-Derham Hall is 0.
Yes, I think you have to. I don't know how you're not aggressive going after the ball. That was always my mentality. Get it, take it from someone else. Let's go.
.12:40 remains in the first half. 17-16 is our score.
No substitution, number 22, LaRon Thomas.
And Amari Carter split at the line.
Number 13, Ben Gallagher.
We had maybe some minor issues there.
Hopefully you can hear me on Mike's mic. That means we get to repeat everything all over again.
A lot of 3-pointers.
Like that rebound.
And here come the Raiders in transition. It's Jaden King.
From Carter.
Mohammed tried the no-look bounce pass. It was intercepted. Raiders in transition. How about a 3?
3-point basket.
Jaden King. Jaden King, 3 triples already. And the Raiders with the first sense of separation.
He's leading everybody so far with 11 points. That's
DeJuan
not
Carter
good.
fouled. He'll shoot 2. Well, if you didn't hear what Stephanie had to say, we were talking about her volleyball players, what she doesn't believe is real, in hopes that she'll get some invitation.
DeJuan Carter will shoot 2.
That's a quick, short, and sweet recap. And he sinks that free throw.
North substitution number 10, Merle Smith.
DeJuan Carter 2 for 2 from the free throw line.
And he's up to 12. King rims out. Offensive rebound. Peter Udoybach. Udoybach heading to Minnesota for football. And there's another football crossover, Zion Guerra.
Curtis Jones.
North St. Paul making some subs as well. You have LaRon Thomas out there, number 22. Muhammad on the drive. No good. Ball is loose and is picked up by the Raiders. Ben Gallagher, number 13.
It's out on North St. Paul. Love the aggressiveness with the rebounding down there. Both these teams are fighting real hard right now.
Substitution for Cretin-Derham, number 11, Lucas.
You know, it's nice to hear what you have to say as well.
We'll never know what I said before.
Oh, we can just do the bad lip reading route.
Perfect.
Just make up some irreverent banter, much like they do for the NFL every year. And the NBA and Major League Baseball, they've done all the pro sports. North St. Paul looking to run. Thomas, stripped from behind. Cretin-Derham Hall basketball.
That was clean, and he kind of kicked that up himself, didn't he?
Strong move by the Raiders.
We have a 3-point game right now. Raiders are up.
It's been back and forth a little bit with all the threes we've seen early on. And go ahead.
Have you noticed this full court defense that they're kind of doing right now, the Polars?
Well, it resulted in a steal.
That it did.
Runner is short. Carter.
Oh!
He better open a bakery after that. You know, want to know why?
Why don't you tell me?
It was a sweet roll. And I'll show myself out. 22-21. Raiders over the Polars. Gallagher, layup is short. LaRon Thomas with the rebound, and he will be fouled from behind by number 11, Lucas Ammons. Cretin-Derham Hall, they are going deep into their bench, and we saw this in warm-ups. They have a huge bench at their disposal.
They're definitely using up all those chairs over there. Are they, in your opinion, subbing people in because they just don't feel like they're getting it done right now, right? I'm kind of surprised to see that many subs.
Now, usually most rotations don't go beyond 9 players, even at the high school level. Udoybach with the rejection. Holloman brings it up. Ammons to Holloman. The skip to Udoybach, and he can't finish
Yeah,
it.
such a great pass.
You got to make the bunnies. DeJuan Carter. That will be a travel.
I think that's the third one this game. They're definitely watching him.
9:50 to go, 22-21, a high-flying game. North St. Paul, in their second game of the season, they hung with White Bear Lake. That was another high-flying offensive game. Close loss for the Polars. Damian Johnson told me his team was up by 15, just couldn't hang on.
Had an air ball there.
90-87 was the final of that one. And the Polars, they've been hanging around this game.
Well, they're definitely hanging right in there, only down by 1.
Mohammed almost got away with it, or I should say did get away with it. Whether or not you thought it was a travel, North St. Paul scores and takes the lead.
DeJuan Carter has 14 of those 23 points right now.
Aaron Murphy got himself on the board with that layup. Here's Holloman. King thought about it. Mid-range Jay draws a foul. He'll shoot 2.
North foul number 10, Merle Smith, is first, team's 5th. Jaden King will shoot 2.
Jaden King, the senior, heading to Western Illinois. Knocks down the front end. 15 points a game.
You know, they call that nothing but net.
You're right.
And number 1, Amari Carter.
15 points, 7 rebounds a game for the senior. We've seen a lot of success.
There it is again.
And we mentioned in the open, this is a Section 4 4A contest. It's a loaded group. Cretin-Derham Hall and Eastridge figure to be the 1 and 2 seeds. But Shaheed Mohammed has other ideas. How did he get that open down low?
That was pretty.
Damian Johnson has a lot of confidence in number 30. Cretin-Derham Hall going back to the long ball. Doesn't pay off there. DeJuan Carter with the rebound. Runner is short. Gets his own miss and cleans up his own mess.
It's always nice when you can do that.
Maybe he did that on purpose.
He might have.
You know, gets you closer to a double-double.
It was a great play.
He's got 16 points already. Holloman, no look. Hesitation. And a traveling violation on Broadley.
That had the potential for a foul, too.
I think Broadley hesitated to try to get that foul call, and it didn't pay off. The Polars with a 3-point lead over a top 10 team in Class 4A.
You know, I think we're a little surprised right now at how well this is going for the Polars.
Indeed, the first game of the season, they played Eastridge and got destroyed. North St. Paul did.
Maybe it didn't take them that long to figure out those kinks.
97-59 was the final, and I think a lot of folks thought it was the number 1 team in 4A, but you see a score like that and you wonder, are we in for a long season?
If I'm just going off of numbers, I'd think the same thing.
Well, coaches don't go off of numbers, not strictly.
No.
Well, if you went off of numbers, your volleyball team would have folded up when they played Stillwater in that section final.
That's right. That's right. That's a very good point.
And instead, they almost surprised us too. I called that game, and I told Stephanie this, as King will get hacked, and that will be a foul. It came in late. If they didn't call it, I would have been surprised.
Yeah, that was definitely a foul.
I told Stephanie at a meeting how surprised I was, because I think everyone expected Stillwater to get through without any difficulty, and North St. Paul, your team,
hey, we hung
made them
right
go
in
the
there.
distance.
You know, I do have to say that as a coach, and this is what these guys are doing too, but you play somebody more than once, you learn from your mistakes, you watch a lot of your film, and you come up with a new strategy.
And this is one advantage for North St. Paul playing these top-level contenders. 2 of them happen to be in their section. So if they face Cretin-Derham Hall or Eastridge at any point in the Section 4 bracket, they'll have that information.
Yeah,
and by then, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it's really helpful to know what you're getting yourself into from experience, not just maybe watching another team's game tape against them.
And by that point, this North St. Paul team should be more cohesive.
I would think so. I'm liking what I'm seeing right now.
Cretin-Derham Hall basketball. And Damian Johnson, not only does he have high hopes on folks like Ben Teagland and Shaheed Mohammed, he mentioned 12 of his 18 players are on the honor roll.
That's great. Real important, the intersection of academics and athletics, and we have to remember which one comes first.
He also likes the fact that he can still play, that if he gets mad at anybody, he can go against them.
I love that. He's probably up in that gym just dunking on everybody.
He told me he's a little bit slower now since his playing days are over. How about that O-board and a missed dunk on Amari Carter's part?
Speaking of dunking.
Amari Carter tried to get the posterization, but it's still Cretin-Derham Hall basketball. Trey Holloman calls out the play.
Hey, we appreciate that effort, though. That's the first dunk attempt we've seen tonight. Woo!
And that hustle on the O boards results in a triple from Jaden King. And you got to love their poise there. You miss a dunk, folks might get a little rattled. Cretin-Derham Hall stayed with it, got a 3 out of it. North St. Paul can't respond, but they collect the high carom. That's no good. And Curtis Jones will be fouled, and North St. Paul out of fouls to give. Free throws coming for Curtis Jones.
They're at 7 now with 6:29 left in the half.
His first team 7. Substitution for North, number 30, Shaheed Muhammad, and number 1, DeJuan Carter.
1 and 1 for Curtis Jones, who has 6 points. And what really intrigues me, not only between the two teams, but within this matchup, you have 18 points from Jaden King, and DeJuan Carter with 16. So you've got quite the one-on-one battle between the Western Illinois commits and one of North St. Paul's returning anchors.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out the remainder of the game if they can keep it even.
North St. Paul on the run. Their dunk is no good. Now Cretin can go in transition. And Curtis Jones will do just that.
He kind of made that look a little too easy.
A 4-point swing, 3 on the way. That doesn't fall from Carter. Cretin tried to save it. Mohammed comes up with a rock instead. Carter pump fakes and backs off. As you know, no shot clock. And he's blocked.
That was good effort to get down to the basket, but he's got a couple big guys around him.
It's hard to get a layup when you're stuck amongst the Raptors in the high grass. 5:55 left in the first half. Deep 3. 2 deep. And that will be Cretin-Derham Hall basketball.
Oh, that looks like they gave it to North St. Paul.
Oh, you're right, they did. And now you know why I'm not an official.
I think I saw the same thing right at first.
Mohammed for 3. That's long. Rebound going up, no good. That's a possession you really want if you're North St. Paul.
Yeah, they've had a couple good rebounds, but haven't been able to put it in.
Timeout Cretin-Derham Hall to get out of a jam. 5:38 remains in the first half. 33-27 our score. And if you're watching this on SCC and you want to stay up to date on our sports programming, just hit us up on Twitter at SCCTV Sports. And don't forget, we're on winter break, but we'll be back in January with more episodes of Sports Path. You can watch that every other Wednesday on SCC.
What does Sports Path highlight, Mike?
Well, they might highlight teams like yours or this team here's. It's just a show that encompasses the 4 schools in the coverage area.
Okay, so it's a collection of
Yep.
how they're doing each week.
Something like that.
Okay. All right, with 5 minutes left, do we think that North St. Paul can hold on to this low margin here?
The beginning after it just comes down to a matter of finishing. That last possession, they had a couple of cracks, couldn't come up with it. When you get those rebounds, especially from close range, you want to get a high percentage or high efficiency on those short-range shots.
Yeah, that's right. They've kept the ball down there, and they're getting the rebounds. And they could be a little bit ahead if they had put any of those in.
Well, when this game started, I thought we were going to see 3-pointers all night. It's nice to see some inside penetration.
That's right.
Now, I was going to ask you this, too.
Yeah.
With the restricted zone in play, it's been in use in the NBA and college for years, but with this coming into high school, how do you think that will change the game? Blocking foul, free throws coming for number 21, Josiah Remus-Ford.
I wish that I could answer that question better. I'm not exactly sure.
Josiah Remus-Ford will shoot 2.
I was just curious because in your era, you won.
We did not, and that's why I wish I
So
could
you
tell
could
you
just
how it
hang-
would change the game.
You could just hang out in the paint all day.
Well, I guess we could, but it wasn't me doing it.
I suppose you were the point guard. You didn't stay in the paint for very long.
No. In and out.
I think you could have held your own.
Oh, yeah. Long arms. Michael Jordan wingspan over here.
But I noted this at the start of the season. You'll probably see less cramping or less crowding down low, an offensive foul on the Polars. And it's on Mikael Twyman. Because if you're in that restricted zone and you draw contact, you'll be hit with a blocking foul.
Okay.
Without that restricted zone, a year ago, you could take a charge down low and just set yourself up underneath the basket, take the hit.
Okay. Jump ball. So this will bring me back to we actually used to practice offensive fouls in high school.
North substitution
During
number
practice.
5, Aaron
We would get
Murphy.
rewarded if we actually accomplished it during the game.
As well as number 11, Sean West Simple.
You can still take charges, of course, but you have
Yes, you
to
have to be
establish
outside.
yourself outside the
Correct.
circle.
Correct.
If any part of your body touches it, then it goes the other way. Cretin, sloppy inbound pass
But it was a good save.
for Mohammed anyway. North St. Paul in a little bit of trouble.
Ooh,
Three-pointer is off from Sean West Zimple.
a little too short on that one.
He looked a little uncomfortable there. Cretin doesn't. After threes were going in early, that three ball having a hard time falling. King
Steal back.
launches off the rim. DeJuan Carter with the board.
A little behind the back there.
Is he going to take it all the way? No. Holloman with the rebound,
We're just a little off on those shots down there.
which seems strange considering the quick start we had to this game.
If they can make a couple adjustments, they'll bring it right back.
Zion Guerra speeds his way to the rim. Guerra, one of several football crossovers. Trey Holloman was another one, as well as Peter Udoybach, the Minnesota football recruit. Zion Guerra, he had some speed. I covered one of their football games in the fall, and Cretin got blown out by Blaine. They were one of the top teams in 6A all season, but Zion Guerra had a 90-yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
Wow.
North substitution number 22, LaRon Thomas.
Cretin-Derham Hall, they may play among the big schools, but they've got athletes. And those athletes aren't afraid to cross over.
Love a multi-sport athlete. I think it's great cross-training.
Well, you would know. You were one.
I was, back when it was more acceptable.
When it was more acceptable. I know.
Or easier to do.
That makes more sense because I don't think it's less acceptable, but with the specialization, the club sports,
Correct.
AAU, it's harder to balance it. I've always encouraged it, if for no other reason, preventing burnout.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. But sometimes you either have to play down on a lower level AAU team or club team if you want to be able to fit your other season in, basically, because you're not able to play at that high level, travel all the time, and then still stay committed to your school team.
Sloppy pass by the Polars, and they turn it over with 3:54 left in the first half. And now the Raiders are beginning to separate themselves from the Polars. 35-27. Full
Nice
court
steal.
pressure. Another miss.
They finally got one in.
Murphy, the trailer, finished the job, and more pressure from the Polars. And that's a pretty risky move with Cretin-Derham Hall in the double bonus, but it pays off.
It definitely paid off. Great D.
And drawing the foul is LaRon Thomas. Just when you think North St. Paul is running into trouble, they find a way to strike back.
I mean, defense wins games. If they can keep doing that and getting some of those baskets in, we have a different ball game here.
And you have to like this if you're Damian Johnson as Thomas makes the front end, just a second trip to the line for the Polars. As he mentioned, the toughest part about his second season is teaching some of these less experienced players how hard you need to work in order to achieve the success they did last year.
Thomas misses that second free throw, but he's on the board for North St. Paul.
Holloman drives and one.
Scoring.
Holloman has been quiet since his first three-point play chance.
Number 5, Aaron Murphy, his first. Trey Holloman will shoot one.
Trey, the youngest son of Crystal Flint, a former Gopher, went to the NCAA tournament in 1994. Of her two sons, Trey is more of the ham or the goofball. He's always looking for more camera time.
So I'm assuming you've spoken with him before.
Not officially,
Okay.
but every time he would see me, he would always try to get on camera
All right.
at a younger age. But a lot of Crystal's longtime friends told him, and his mother as well, well, DeJuan Carter's telling everybody I can shoot three-pointers, but a lot of folks said this kid was going to be special from an early age, and Trey's put in the work to reach that level.
Well, it seems to me like he's going to get more than his 15 minutes of fame.
Speaking of Holloman, goes behind to Udoibach, and North St. Paul with the rejection. They trail by 5. DeJuan Carter cleans up his own mess. He's up to 21. He looked out of control and got himself back together in time, and alley-oop is no good. Bowlers with a chance to gain some momentum. Carter, runner, swish!
On fire.
Or as Dan Patrick would say, he's in fuego.
Well, that Enfuego has brought them within 1 point of Cretin.
A big three-pointer off the glass for Karsten Broadley. Holloman with the dime. Cretin needed that triple. North St. Paul looking for the answer. Bullseye! Brendan Lakeford Johnson gets on the board.
Answering with another 3.
More pressure from the Polars. And another steal. Carter leaps over his own player. Muhammad in trouble. Goes back to Carter. 125. Langford Johnson again. It's there.
Three-point basket, Brendan Langford Johnson.
I'll tell you what, I'm really impressed with the Polars defense right now. This is good stuff.
They are hanging tough. 43-41. And Cretin throws it away.
Oh.
Cretin-Derham substitution, number 2, Jaden Kane. Number 3, Curtis Jones.
It's only game 3 of the season, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest this Polars team is already gelling. To go from a 38-point blowout to Eastridge, then you have a nail-biter with White Bear Lake, where you drop a 15-point lead, and you're holding your own against Cretin-Derham Hall on the road.
They're doing a great job. Is he injured? Not sure what happened just right there with DeJuan Carter.
Slow to get up. Damian Johnson called a timeout. Looks to be okay.
We're going to have to go to some sort of replay to find out what happened there.
And a timeout is called with 1:06, both teams with 4 left, but the offense is picking up again.
Well, we have North St. Paul with the lead right now, up by 2, 43-41.
And DeJuan Carter has 23 points. Remember, he was one of the returning figures from last year's North St. Paul team, and he played an integral role a year ago. And we mentioned the tough non-conference games that North St. Paul has. They'll play Eden Prairie on the road January 4th. EP, another top 10 team. Their guards can fly. That'll be their last game. And then they're going to have a good chunk of competition from the Metro East. Matamidi was the favorite in the preseason. Tartan, they bring back Antoine Kimmins. They're all-around athletes. And St. Thomas Academy picked up a big win over Robbinsdale Cooper at the Tip-Off Classic. So
it sounds like there's some competition in the conference.
Oh,
is
yes.
What you're saying.
Well, there was plenty last year.
Right.
And I don't think it's going to change this year.
That's always fun. If the conference is competitive, it makes it a little more exciting. Gets you ready for your non-conference games and all of your section games.
Carter almost slipped. Regains his composure. 55 seconds to go. Step back doesn't fall for Langford Johnson. Cretin with the board. They can tie or take the lead here. They're not going to wait for the final shot. They'll go for it. Jaden King with a 3-ball from the corner. And a stoppage in play. A warning. Jaden King maybe was a little too excited there.
Did you do a celebratory dance?
I'm not sure. Maybe he was jawing with somebody, but a warning has been issued.
Is it illegal to do a celebratory dance?
What do you think this is, the NFL? Now Cretin's showing press. And Damian Johnson has to burn another timeout to get the Polars out of a jam. So they'll have 3 remaining. Not that big a deal at this stage of the game, but you hate to burn a timeout nonetheless.
That's right. Both teams looking very aggressive right now, though, within 1 point of each other, and you can tell that the heat is on.
Cretin-Derham Hall led by as much as 8.
So we have DeJuan Carter with 23 right now for North St. Paul, leading that way. And you have Jaden King with 21.
Again, the battle within the battle. You don't see that often, boys or girls, where one player takes over like that. We were talking about the praise on Cretin-Derham Hall's end. 4 players in double digits in the first 3 games of the year. And right now, Jaden King the hot hand.
Well, now I think that Cretin's last game, they won against Rochester John Marshall, correct?
Yes.
And one of their players had 41 points.
That's true. You never know. There's ebb and flow, and there's anomalies within the game. You just got to roll with it. Mohammed in trouble. Cretin, ball will be still up for grabs. Polars recover. Mohammed fires for 3. Short. They're getting after it. 3 seconds and a foul.
Damian Johnson, real pumped about that one. That was a lot of back and forth on that defense there. It probably bounced between about, what, like 8 times?
It's like when the ball gets loose in an NFL game and everybody's diving on it. The ball's bouncing every direction possible.
That's exactly what it looked like.
And nobody can get a grip on it. So Carter shooting free throws. And if he makes this one, North St. Paul will likely go into halftime with the advantage.
There it is.
And he does. 25 points in the first half for DeJuan Carter. And Cretin has to heave it. Almost goes in.
Good effort.
But North St. Paul with a 45-44 lead over the defending 4A state champion, Cretin-Derham Hall Raiders.
Wow, I'm impressed so far. This is a great game. There's a lot of fight happening out there.
DeJuan Carter with 25 points, Jaden King with 21 points. I'd say they've got plenty of fight.
I think so, and it'll be interesting to see how much left they have in them. A lot of energy being used out there on D. Can they keep it up the rest of the game?
We'll find out when we return. This is high school boys basketball on SEC Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your varsity.
Disaster tips from the objects left behind.
My home wasn't insured, but you can check your insurance policy now to make sure you're covered. Oh.
My savings are lost, but you can put money aside and plan for unexpected disaster costs.
We're lost forever, but you can scan important documents now so they survive.
For more tips on how to prepare, visit ready.gov.
And we're back at the Joe Mauer Fieldhouse. Stephanie, who is this Joe Mauer guy?
Oh, that Joe Mauer guy again.
Yeah, you know.
So he's one of those baseball players.
She didn't get a chance to explain this in the first half, at least not properly.
That's what happens when your mic is off. Joe Mauer, standout Minnesota Twins player, retired now.
He's got kids of his own. Maybe they'll make their way through Cretin-Derham Hall.
Twins of his own.
Yes, twin girls. What are the chances?
I don't know. We'll have to look that up. But I would assume that he's one of the bigger names to come out of Cretin-Derham Hall. I know there have been quite a few. But in terms of Minnesota's most loved, stayed here his entire career, was a long one. It's kind of neat to have this field house in his name.
Starting the
And a big donor
number 1, DeJuan Carter, number 3,
for the alma mater.
Johnson, number 4, Mikhail Twyman, number 30,
You know, Mike, had I gone pro, I would have probably done the same thing.
Ben Tegland. For Cretin-Derham Hall, number 1,
Recap of the first half. DeJuan Carter, 25 points. Jaden King, 21. Curtis Jones had 10. Early in the first half, it was a barrage of three-pointers, then a bit of a lull, and then the second half had a fantastic finish, a lot of offense. So we could be on our way to another shootout here at the Joe Mauer Fieldhouse on the campus of Cretin-Derham Hall.
Well, we had a lot of defense, too, and we did also get back to that three-point game. They started getting back into it, shooting those.
And you got to give props to North St. Paul for that pressure defense. Despite getting in early foul trouble, they did not go away from it. And Mikhail Twyman gets a friendly bounce.
I mean, we've all heard this. Offense sells tickets, defense wins games. There's some truth to it tonight, right?
I was just thinking about the point you made if you ever became a pro athlete. How
think
Tart
there's still hope?
might have benefited. I don't know, maybe.
You have to give back. It's important.
And let's not cut Tartan short. There are plenty of fine athletes that come out of there too.
Oh, absolutely.
I know 2 of them, at least 2. Well, I guess 3. You're all right.
Thanks, Mike.
Cretin with the rock and an offensive foul.
Oh.
And as you saw there, DeJuan Carter, that wasn't Carter, that was Brendan Langford Johnson, but he set himself up again. As long as you're outside the restricted zone, that's fine.
North St. Paul up by 3. They started this half up by 1.
And a stoppage in play.
And I didn't get a chance
Inadvertent
to. Okay.
Inadvertent whistle, or looked like they may have stopped because Jaden King was still tying his shoe, and
Oh, that's probably what
they
it
don't
was.
want any safety hazards.
Watch out for the attack of the shoelace.
Shaheed Mohammed, 26 points per game in the first 2 games of the season. 7 points so far, but how about that move? Langford Johnson breaking ankles and making buckets.
You got to shoot it when your defender goes down like that.
That never happened to you, right?
Going down? No.
You're right, your ankles are never broken.
Ever.
And you probably never had a charge called against you in your life.
You know, that I
North
don't know.
St. Paul, pass was deflected. Now the Raiders can go. No good. We've seen the Raiders miss a lot of bunnies.
It's a
And then a
scrappy
foul.
North St. Paul.
They are.
I'm loving the aggressiveness of North St. Paul's defense right now. It's really impressive.
Substitution for the Raiders.
And we mentioned this in the first half. And you see this a lot in boys basketball especially. You know, you have your favorites, but there's always a potential for upsets when you get to those teams in the middle of the pack upward. Carter tried to draw contact, couldn't get it. Go ahead.
Always a potential for upsets. It makes it more fun, though.
It does. We mentioned earlier in the game, St. Thomas Academy. Folks thought maybe they were underrated, and they got a big statement by beating Robbinsdale Cooper, number 3 in 3A, at the Boys Tip-Off Classic last Saturday.
That's an open 3 shot.
And that's a 3-point bucket for Shaheed Mohammed.
We'll call that a swish.
And North St. Paul with their largest lead of the game.
That also sent Mohammed into double digits.
It does. Holloman with the answer. Off the glass, no good. Carter with the rebound. Has to shake off a double team, and he does.
Guy in the corner.
It's Mohammed. Bullseye!
Ooh.
3-point basket, Shaheed Mohammed.
Look at North St. Paul.
We're back to Enfuego.
They're up by 11. Carter feeling it. Heat check, right?
That's a definite heat check.
Cretin looking for a 3 of their own. They get it.
3-point basket, Curtis Jones.
Curtis Jones with his 4th triple. That was deflected.
That sends Curtis into double digits scoring tonight as well.
Mohammed again. I'm surprised they haven't stopped play. Usually when the net is roped up like that, they'll call a whistle.
I wonder why they haven't.
King can't hit from the corner.
Well, they have a potential to fix that net right now with a good shot. There it is. Done. Fixed.
Cretin-Derham substitution number 12.
If they stop play for that, you wonder why they didn't do it a couple possessions ago. Maybe they didn't want the players, I don't know, maybe the officials didn't want to stop the players from barreling into each other. Because these teams like to push.
Oh, they definitely like to push, and that's been really fun to watch. There's definitely no slackers tonight in this game.
Mohammed fakes the three. Runner doesn't fall.
North St. Paul almost grabbed that rebound.
And they force the turnover. DeJuan Carter comes up with a defensive play.
Seems to me that Cretin's getting a little tripped up on this full court defense.
The Raiders led by as much as 8. Right now it's North St. Paul who leads by 8. Their largest was 11.
But the tables have turned.
That's basketball. As they say, it's a game of runs. Langford Johnson, the skip. 3 on the way. Twyman can't hit it. And the rebound goes to number 31. We'll get his name in a minute. That's Will Burke. Curtis Jones, bullseye.
We're back to that three-point game.
5 triples for Curtis Jones.
Cretin-Derham takes a 30-second timeout.
Correction, 4, but still 16 points. It's a lot of three-pointers. That's what you need to know. Speaking of three-pointers, we saw a lot of those in the first half, and we're seeing a few here. Shaheed Mohammed has 3 triples. You mentioned Curtis Jones. He's got 4. Jaden King has 4 for the Raiders.
And
these guys can shoot the long ball.
I think DeJuan Carter has 3, correct?
He does.
All right.
Well, at least someone's math is working, and it's not mine.
I'm also bringing the heat tonight.
You are bringing the heat.
Mathematical heat. All right, North
We're
St.
number
Paul up by
crunchers.
5.
Sorry. I was just thinking of a quippy comeback there. Number crunchers are back in your day. Number muncher, right? Remember that game?
I do, actually.
So do I.
Nice steal by Cretin.
That's Curtis Jones. His runner is short. And a jump ball. North St. Paul with the arrow.
Everybody wants those rebounds. It's refreshing to see.
Well, both teams know what's at stake. This is a non-conference game, but this has section implications. North St. Paul, this is the 3rd team in Section 4-4A they have played this season. In their first 3 games, all 3 are section opponents.
Yeah, and section implications is correct because they obviously use these games when they do the rankings.
Exactly. They'll take those head-to-head matchups. And if North St. Paul can get a win over Cretin-Derham Hall, and if the QRF or the records, if the resume looks the same, that could go a long way. 5-second violation. Ben Gallagher's defense going a long way for the Raiders on that possession.
Yeah, for those section rankings, it does hurt you if you've lost to another team in your section. They'll sit there and make that argument, even if your record moving forward gets better.
Right, they look at conference, if you won the conference title or not, head-to-head.
Other common opponents.
Right, strength of schedule, all of that.
Correct.
I would not want to be in those meetings.
It's fun.
Foul on the floor. Well, it's probably fun if you get a high seed. And if you feel you got knocked down a line or two, maybe not so fun?
Yeah, I think it's those kind of mid-range teams, and some of the arguments can start to get into things like an off night and somebody's knee hurt. And you'd be surprised what you hear in these sales pitches. I mean, it's almost like you want everybody to come in with their own deck and kind of flash and sell you.
DeJuan Carter at the line, I would think you'd have an edge in those meetings with your marketing background. You probably know how to craft those pitches.
Well, okay, luckily I haven't had to just because we've been at the top of the heap, but
usually your argument is, do we deserve to be above Stillwater the last couple of years?
something like that. And or I just don't want to be in their bracket to start off with.
That too. You don't want to face them until the end, right? You don't want to be in their pod.
That's right.
Top of the key,
Just
Jaden
off.
King. You're right, it was off.
Little
DeJuan
flap.
Carter drives, and he's off as well.
Ooh, North St. Paul
Pinballs
got that
around,
back.
and that's going to be an offensive foul on Aaron Murphy. 56-50.
North foul number 5, Aaron Murphy.
Usually you don't see turnarounds of this magnitude, but the more you watch this game, the more you consider where North St. Paul has been in just 1 week. A 39-point blowout, 38, I should say. Oh, what difference does it make at that margin against Eastridge?
Doesn't really, does it?
And then a close loss with North St. Paul where you're up by 15, and then a sloppy turnover there. That's going to be a transition bucket for Amari Carter.
We had back-to-back steals on that one. North St. Paul, then Cretin.
And it was Cretin-Derham Hall who got the bucket there. Well, I don't think anyone expected Cretin-Derham Hall to go away quietly.
Oh, absolutely not. They're going to be in this until the end. Both teams are. Oh, that was pretty.
Thomas scoring.
LaRon Thomas. And it's a 6-point game again. King looking to cut it in half. And a foul on the Pullers. A push foul. And that is the third personal on Brendan Langford Johnson.
North foul number 3, Brendan Langford Johnson. His third, team second. Cretin-Derham Hall substitution number 4, Karsten Broadley.
Now
Number 3, Curtis Jones.
we have another 3. Cretin trying to work their way back on that 3 ball.
Let's see what Muhammad does with this.
Carter fires a 3. Swish.
3-point basket, DeJuan Carter.
That is exactly what that basket sounded like.
And Mohammed picks up a dime.
Worth noting that DeJuan Carter is at 29 points this game. Oh, he finds the open guy.
Backdoor play for Amari Carter.
Carter from Burke.
Mohammed thought about it. Oh! North St. Paul wasn't ready. Cretin-Derham Hall looking to push. And I don't think they got the passing cleanly to Curtis Jones. Had that been a little softer, they might have been able to go for it. That won't be a dunk, but it's 2 points nonetheless.
We're calling that half a dunk. We got half a dunk on that one.
But it's still 2 points. Half a dunk, but you get the full 2. And Aaron Murphy goes up to 6 off the bench. Cretin trying to answer with those 3s.
Oh, that was a block.
A big block, but Cretin not giving up from the outside. And Jaden King with his first field goal of the second half. But North St. Paul protecting the interior. I feel if Cretin-Derham Hall wants to work their way back, they've got to find a way to get inside. Another 3 from Carter. Looked a little off balance, but Murphy is there for the O-board, and Thomas can't put it down. Jump ball, Cretin with the arrow.
Oh, that rebound and that pass was right there. Just off on that shot.
How many times have we seen layups come up empty? You don't see that in the NBA. No. I haven't been keeping track, but it seems like both sides have had a lot of chances to score down low, and they come up short.
That's right. It's almost like the three-point percentage is better.
No wonder why they're shooting so many threes. But that's highly unusual.
It is.
Cretin with a series of skips. Now they bounce it over to Holloman. North St. Paul playing that zone. King fires the 3, and that rims out, and I guess North St. Paul is going to dare them to shoot.
Looks like they are. They were kind of the only ones in there for that rebound, too.
Off balance, DeJuan Carter can't get the bounce, and Amari Carter gets fouled. 8:39 left in the second half.
A little push action there.
63-57.
North foul number 22, LaRon Thomas.
Now, if
His first team's third.
my math is correct, that would mean North St. Paul is up by 6. Back to those numbers.
8.5 to play. A more
He's
defensive
shooting
minded.
that.
And that goes over the backboard. So North St. Paul staying in that zone. Cretin-Derham Hall trying to shoot their way out of it.
They are, and they're trying to shoot their way out of it from a few feet behind that three-point line.
Mikhail Twyman.
How big would this win be for North St. Paul if they can hang on?
Well, it seems to me that this is going, or would be a very big win for them. Cretin's got a little bit of press with all of their athletes here.
And there's 2 of them showing their athleticism. Curtis Jones with the bucket off the steal from Holloman. And Jones will have a chance to make this a 3-point game.
Foul number 22, LaRon Thomas.
But you're right, Cretin-Derham Hall getting a lot of press.
Curtis Jones.
Trey Holloman and his Division I offers. I'm sure he'll get many more as he gets older.
That's right, he's only a 9th grader.
We were joking that his college will be paid for however long he spends there. 1 year, 4 years, who knows. Jones missed the free throw, but Cretin got the O-board. Sloppy pass and another foul on the Polars.
That could have been avoided.
Now I know you went to St. Thomas. How many offers did you get for basketball or volleyball?
Now, Mike, you're asking me a question
And
from
I'm not
something
saying
that
to
happened a
discount-
really long time ago.
I'm not saying that to discredit your athleticism. I'm just curious what the process was like 20 years ago when you didn't have Twitter to announce all these
Was
offers.
it 20 years ago? I had some D2 offers for basketball. That was my main sport. I ended up just walking onto the St. Thomas volleyball court and asking if I could try out.
Jaden King walks into a jumper, and it's a 2-point game, 63-61. Jaden King with 26. We had contact. Holloman will get called for the foul. There was contact. Amari Carter held his nose. And it's going to be free throws instead for Mikhail Twyman.
His second team's fourth. Mikhail Twyman.
Do your buddies give you a hard time or have a laugh at the fact that basketball was your first sport and now you're coaching volleyball?
I took a real long hiatus after college, so I'm not even sure anybody noticed.
Substitution for the Polars, number 1, DeJuan Carter.
It's been so long ago. No, but the funny thing is that hardly anybody now knows that I actually played basketball back in the day.
Well, your old high school teammate Jessie still remembers.
She did. I still have to. We're gonna have to dig out those highlight tapes.
Oh, I would like to see them.
Perfect. We'll get that right to you.
Over the back foul on Carter. And Twyman missed his free throws.
DeJuan Carter. His second team.
Just the second on Carter. But North St. Paul, they're going to have to keep an eye on the foul situation here because now they're out of fouls to give.
And it's only a 2-point game, Mike. Coach Jerry Klein is pretty fired up down there. Can we make out anything that he's yelling?
All it takes is one play. Jerry Klein Jr., the longtime head coach for Cretin-Derham Hall. And we're tied up.
King scoring.
Jaden King, who else would it be to come up with a tying bucket? And it's 63-all. Bounce pass is almost intercepted, but...
Looks like it's a North St. Paul ball.
Right. I was going to say Will Burke stepped out of bounds. Can't fault them for the hustle, though. So still Polar's ball. They were up by as much as 11, and now we're even again. Seeing a much more patient approach. That was Amari Carter with the block. And that's a huge block. A lot of folks would have been tripped up by that behind the back pass there. Amari Carter stayed with it.
We have two very different sideline coaching styles happening right now.
Holloman with the dime, Burke with the runner, and Cretin-Derham Hall retakes the lead. Damian Johnson calls timeout. 6:08 to go. We may be witnessing a photo finish.
It kind of looks like it, and I'm real curious what Damian Johnson is saying down there in his huddle. He's more of the quiet, on the court, seated leader, while you have Cretin coach standing, moving, loud voice.
What about you? What's your style?
Keep it all in my head.
So when you call a timeout in volleyball, you just keep it all in your head?
No, try not to call the timeout. No, I prefer the Damian method that we've got going on down there. Just calm, cool, collected. I try to not add any anxiety to an already anxiety-ridden game, intense game. That's my goal.
Well, we mentioned North St. Paul's key matchups in the first half. Cretin-Derham Hall, both games with Eastridge. They're going to be a lot of fun. They'll go to Eastridge on Friday. They'll host Eastridge January 29th. Edina, they're a team you never want to count out. St. Thomas Academy, one of the rivalry games. There's a trophy involved with that. And, of course, the annual series with De La Salle. Cretin-Derham Hall and De La Salle, the oldest members of the Archdiocese in St. Paul and Minneapolis, respectively. And those games are always fun to watch.
Okay, now, do you know what De La Salle is ranked in their section?
De La Salle, they are the #1 team in Class 3A, and that is who North St. Paul will face on Friday.
Okay, that'll be a big game as well.
De La Salle had 6 straight state tournament championships. That streak ended last year when Columbia Heights upset them in the state semifinal round. Coincidentally, Columbia Heights was the last team to beat De La Salle in the postseason before that streak of 6 in a row. DeJuan Carter streaks his way to the basket and ties it up at 65.
DeJuan sure found that open lane.
31 points for DeJuan Carter, the senior guard.
So he's carrying North St. Paul with almost half of their points.
Burke drives. Got it.
Scoring.
Will Burke coming up with a couple of big plays off the bench. Carter lost it. Holloman has it. He's got King. Yes.
King from Holloman.
4-point lead for Cretin-Derham Hall. Looking to avoid an upset. And both teams looking for some key section positioning. Cretin going for the strip again. This time it's a jump. North St. Paul with the arrow, but Cretin-Derham Hall showing a little bit of that pressure defense North St. Paul gave them in the first half.
I mean, Burke is excited to be in there, and he is taking charge.
Will Burke, the 6'4 junior, and the way he's playing right now, the energy he's bringing off the bench, a lot of folks would be wise to take note of that. How you can make an impact even when you're not starting.
He's definitely showing that right now.
Oh, Carter.
Scoring.
That was close. Carter got the bucket, but it almost would have been offensive basket interference. He was very close. High, low, Burke again.
Burke scoring.
He was right there paying attention, ready for that pass.
And how about all
Nice shot.
How about all the assists Holloman is racking up? DeJuan Carter. That would have been big for the Polars had that 3 gone in.
If you're not going to score, you might as well assist.
Well, and Holloman, he's not worried about his point totals.
No.
Never has been. And he's played his share of big games. Minneapolis North as a 7th and 8th grader. He had to start on a few games last year. That would have been huge for the Raiders had that gone in. Trey Holloman held his own against the likes of Minnehaha Academy, Hopkins, and others. Cretin-Derham Hall calls a timeout to save possession.
30-second timeout.
Amari Carter
Number 5,
got the hustle
Murphy.
there, and the Raiders with a 4-point lead. Of course, there's no shot clock, so the Raiders can use that to their advantage if they wish. They're in the bonus at the next foul from North St. Paul.
I'm really liking this energy that Will Burke brought into this game off the bench. That's impressive.
He
As
had
a
just
coach,
6 points. So sorry,
Yeah,
he had
no,
just
that's okay.
he had just 6 points coming into this game. He has 6 points now, but go ahead.
As a coach, I mean, that's the kind of kid that you want to be able to count on to throw in and just be so aggressive and make the tide turn a little bit out there.
And that's the kid other coaches will point to
Agreed.
later in the season when they watch tape of this. They'll notice what Will Burke has brought, and for those players that might wonder if they're good enough or why aren't they getting more playing time, Will Burke, what he's done tonight.
That's the kind of energy, attitude, and enthusiasm you need. Sometimes it's hard as a non-starter or bench player.
And how about this game? Going in, you and I think a few others were thinking Cretin-Derham Hall would win this comfortably. It's been a nail-biter all the way through.
Yeah, it looks like you don't have much nails left over there, Mike.
No, I don't. King, 3-ball, corner pockets.
Basket, Jaden King from Holloman.
33 points from Jaden King. Could that be the dagger? We shall see. Mohammed, foul, they'll shoot 3. And that stops the clock with 2:54.
Well, here's a chance for Muhammad to bring it back within a 4-point game.
His first team, 6th.
A little bit of pressure when it's 3 minutes left.
3.
Not that it isn't always a pressure situation on that free throw line, but
Well, Damian Johnson, that's his why he's scheduled Cretin and Eastridge and De La Salle to start the season, along with section opponent White Bear Lake. He wanted to give the Polars a taste of what it's like at the top.
there we go.
So he has a lot of guys who don't have much varsity experience.
Well, this is getting them that experience pretty quickly, I'd say.
And these games, even if you don't win them, Damian Johnson said, I'd rather get a butt kicking now than later in the season. And you see the improvements they've made already. And that can go a long way.
That can go a long way, and he's completely right. We don't want that butt kicking when we're in the section semifinals or the section finals. We want to have by that time learned, grown, get real familiar with each other on that court, kind of feel where everybody is.
Cretin-Derham Hall playing keep away here. North St. Paul may have to play the foul and chase game if they can't get the steal. Cretin, they're not going to shoot it unless they're absolutely open. Will Burke with the O-board. Comes up with another big play.
That was a great move on the baseline by Curtis Jones. Just a little off.
But Will Burke with a big offensive rebound. Jaden King with the dagger, another O-board. And that doesn't fall. So the Raiders go for the knockout blow, and instead the Polars still have a lifeline. But Mohammed misses the three-pointer.
We have Burke with that rebound as well.
Burke has made a huge difference in the second half. Holloman finds Carter, and that might do it.
From Holloman.
North St. Paul scores on the other end, Mikhail Twyman. And we'll have a stoppage in play with 1:24. But a 5-point game, North St. Paul, they've got to get a turnover in some way.
That shoelace again? Is that what that was?
Maybe. Cretin breaks the press. And they're not going to be in a hurry to shoot. In fact, you're hearing them say, don't shoot it. They don't want to give North St. Paul any openings. Holloman! Oh, no! Jerry Klein Jr. can't believe it. Carter, that's a deep three. I don't know if that's a shot you need in a situation like that.
That's an important rebound by Burke right now. We've got 53 seconds left, a 5-point game. North St. Paul needs to step up that defense.
Well, Holloman got bailed out there. He missed the dunk. That could have been disastrous for the Raiders, but DeJuan Carter just fired a quick three. I don't know if he needed it. And, barring, well, there's still time, but unless something weird happens, I think Cretin will hang on for the win, but we'll see.
It's kind of looking like that, but if North St. Paul steps up their D again and sinks a couple, I mean, they could be right there. I have a feeling they're going to go for a three right now.
Well, Cretin, all they need to do is hang on to the ball. They're going to make North St. Paul play foul and chase, and the thing is, if North St. Paul fouls here, it's only 1-1. So I'm surprised the Polars haven't considered that strategy earlier. Of course, you want to play for the steal and try to get that fast break play. So there's a lot of things that happen that I'm not necessarily thinking about in my simplistic view of things. But if they can't get the steal, if you're the Polars, you've got to foul here, make the Raiders earn it from the line.
That's right.
Because if they miss the front end, you get the rebound, well, you can take it the other way in a hurry.
Well, let's see if that holds true right now.
50.4. Good effort by the Polars nonetheless. Raiders can need some more time here. And there's the foul.
There it is.
So Amari Carter will go to the line. He has 7 points tonight.
North foul on number 4, Mikael Twyman. His fourth, team 7th.
The foul is the fourth on Twyman.
Carter will shoot 1-1.
If it comes to that. So Carter will shoot 1-1.
Murphy's going to really need to fight against Burke for this one. It's in.
And if Carter makes the next one, that should ice it. There's Burke again. And Cretin has the arrow on a jump. Will Burke. What an effort from this kid.
I mean, that's exactly what I thought we were going to see if that basket went off.
40.1. Now the Raiders can put this one away. Will Burke, what an impressive second half. He only had 6 points on the score sheet, but the rebounds, he made a big difference in the second half.
Defense and rebounds, 100%, absolutely.
And when the Raiders are down by 11, I'd say Will Burke's effort, his contributions. We're going to look at Jaden King and his 33 spot, but Will Burke, he deserves some props for what he did in the second half. As Amari Carter puts this one away at the line. And North St. Paul, this was close. They're going to come up just a little bit short tonight, but you have to like the trajectory they're going. They're getting better performances. They're hanging in there against these higher level teams. And you go from a 38-point blowout against East Ridge to a game against Cretin-Derham Hall where you were in position to win. That's going to build the confidence, even if it doesn't reflect it on the record.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree with you. This has been a very impressive game by North St. Paul.
Trey Holloman will shoot 1-1.
And we'll see what dividends it pays on Friday when they play De La Salle, the #1 team in 3A. But Damian Johnson, he'll have a lot of takeaways to share with his team and a lot of positives as Holloman shoots from the line.
Yeah, I definitely think there are a ton of positives that they're going to take away from this game. This was a good effort on the Polars' part.
Absolutely. I mean, it comes up just a bit short, but The Polars made the Raiders work for it tonight. And sometimes that's what you want in that first go-around. There's a three-pointer
Langford Johnson for
Brendan
Grady.
Langford Johnson. Well, that makes it a three-point game.
There's the foul.
But you have 15.8, so
Foul number 22, LeRon Thomas. His third, team's 10.
you need a lot to happen here. But again,
You
you're playing to the end.
Curtis Jones will shoot 2.
Yeah, I don't think the Polars are going to pull this out unless Jones misses these free throws, but that's what you want to see. You want to keep playing until the end. Because like you said, this is an early season meeting. You know, North St. Paul, they're not going to get the bargaining chips they would like when it comes to seed the sections, but more importantly, they're going to have information.
All right, they have an opportunity here to shoot a three.
They've got to get it off quick. It's Mohammed. And the ball pinballs around. That'll do it.
Burke with that ball.
Will Burke was everywhere in the second half.
So we have a final score, 80-76, Cretin-Derham Hall over North St. Paul.
What an effort by Will Burke, and let's not forget Jaden King, his 33 points. A tremendous performance. So Cretin-Derham Hall, they had to work for this, and North St. Paul one step closer to maybe playing an upset card when it comes to the Section 4 4A playoffs.
I think so. I think that after seeing this performance and knowing how much they lost to White Bear Lake, this team has got it. They're scrappy. They're good defenders. I think we saw a lot of missed short shots today. You clean that up a little bit, they're good.
And like you said, you go from a blowout against Eastridge to a couple of close games. So North St. Paul's right there, and I imagine as the season moves along, they'll figure out how to get over that hump.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch them.
We'll try to get a word with a couple of the Raiders before we wrap things up. This is high school boys basketball on SCC Sports.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
And I'm joined by Jaden King and Will Burke of the victorious Cretin-Derham Hall Raiders. Jaden, we'll start with you. 33 points, and you needed just about every one of them tonight against a gritty North St. Paul team. What would you make of this game tonight?
I just say we all played good as a team. I mean, the 33 helped. We could have took better shots, but I think when it come down to the wire, we all contributed, especially him with the boards. Everybody getting ready, and we prepared for this all week. So,
and we'll get to Will in a second here, but you were trailing by 11 early in the second half. North St. Paul went on a big run. How did you bounce your way back?
It was all energy. It was all energy, and our coaches just making good plays, playing defense. You know, defense won us this game with the traps, with the good defensive stops. That just won us the game.
And can you speak of the leadership you've had to take on with all of the folks who graduated last year? You had Daniel Oturu among them, so here you are having to take over the mantle as one of the senior leaders.
Kind of looking at Ryan Larson. I just look at Ryan Larson. I just want to be as good as the leader he was. You know, he got even when we had bad games, he was the one who always bring us together, and I just want to take over that role. It's a big responsibility, but I'm ready to take it.
Well, speaking of leaders, Will Burke, you were quite impressive. I haven't seen too many efforts off the bench like yours tonight. A bunch of rebounds, 6 points, but it was the hustle plays that made the difference in the closing minutes. What allows you to bring that energy off the bench?
You know, just teammates, energy. We're fighting all together to win the game. Jaden, great leader, worked together, and we made some effort plays that helped us win this game overall, yeah.
There are a lot of folks out there who might not embrace the role you do, or they might see themselves as, maybe not an integral part of this team, but you went out there. It's not often that a bench player impresses us the way you did, but I guess you're an exception.
Yeah, I just like to work hard. I like to bring the energy every night, accept my role, and I like to play. I like to be involved in scoring with these guys. I accepted my role not to score so much, but to work hard and make every rebound and every hustle play that I can every night. So, yeah.
And whether you're a starter or a bench player, with an effort like tonight and with what you like to contribute to this team, what are some takeaways? What do you think folks could borrow from your example?
I think work ethic is really a commitment thing. You got to come to practice every day, work really hard. These guys definitely helped me bring some effort to every practice, and they're great players, so it encourages me to play hard every single play. So, yeah, that's what I would say, commitment and work ethic, yeah.
Well, commitment and work ethic were on full display tonight in this win. All right. Is there anyone you want to say hi to?
What's up, Ma? How you doing? How you doing?
Mom, yeah, what's up?
Well, hi, moms and dads and whoever might be watching. Congratulations on the win. You had to work for it, but I think that state tournament championship with Apple Valley proved not every game's going to be easy, and this one was no exception.
That's what I feel.
Absolutely, yep.
Jaden King and Will Burke of Cretin-Derham Hall. That wraps up our coverage here from the Joe Mauer Fieldhouse. For our entire crew, I'm Mike Beaton. Thank you for watching high school basketball on SEC Sports.